Last time on Shadow Piece, Absalom showed a powerful attack that completely decapitated his opponent, the giant Ulre. Wanting to undo the mistake of killing a member of the nation they wanted to get along with, the Dark Messiah screamed at Maria if he can somehow revive him. But suddenly, in that moment of carelessness and hearing Hyrdine yell, Absalom turned back to his opponent once again, only to feel an arrow pierce through his remaining human hand. Coldness spreads throughout his body, and the giant who he thought was dead is back on his feet. Only half of his face is on his body, and the cut off head disappeared off the ground. The battle is not over yet, and we will see how it turns out today. Absalom lets out a scream of pain. As he thought the combat was over, he let up his armament haki, which in turn made him more vulnerable. The giant Ulre is back on his feet, and now he is giving it his all. He puts down his normal bow he was using until just now, and shortly after a new one appears in his hands. This one, however, is special. It is a see-through bow. However, the intricate designs make it appear like the magnum opus of a master craftsman. A new weapon always means an increase in danger, so the Dark Messiah instantly switches back into his combat modes. Every fiber of his being is on alert for what will happen next. But before he can even react, the first arrow hits his bazooka arm. For a second, nothing happens, but then in one fluid movement, ice encases the entire bazooka. He tries to fire the weapon, but the ice seems to have blocked the mechanism. Lucky for him, he isn't the only one that is surprised. The member of the Einherja is confused as well. A hunter always needs to be prepared, so Ulre is a good strategist and also very well taught in many other subjects. Normally his ice completely covers the body of his target, and all he needs to do is hit them once, and then he wins. But this time only the metal weapon got frozen. Doubting oneself only leads to failure, so both warriors decide to step forward and continue the battle. A swarm of ice arrows rains down on Absalom. Only thanks to his speeds he is able to dodge them all. The ground around him gets frozen in various locations, but the predator is getting closer to the hunter. This is not only a test to see if the Strawhat Pirates will be allowed to go inside the nation of Elbaf. This also turned into a personal matter for these two fighters. They want to prove themselves. Someone will be victorious. Will it be the hunter or the beast? Both have plans they themselves think will carry them to victory, but only one person can be proven right. Absalom dashes around, leaving behind more trails of fire, and as he does so for a while, the ice begins to melt. It was very resistant, but the ever-increasing temperature was too much for it to endure. Shooting arrows not directly at his target, but the ground ahead was the first idea of Ulre. However, the quasi-captain of the Strawhat Pirates doesn't slip and fall. Instead, this ice gives him another speed boost. After all, the top speed of an ice skater is by far faster to a normal sprinter. The outcome makes the situation even more difficult for Ulre, so he decides to close his eyes. If he can't hit the foreigner in the present, he will have to do so in the future. There it is. In exactly 10 seconds, Absalom will kick him 3 times and shout out an attack called Dark Triple Axel. Ulre can't argue with the naming sense, as he never left Elbaf and thus doesn't know anything about the culture of other countries. He is now fully concentrating on changing that future. Meanwhile, Absalom is dashing around, and after encircling his opponent one last time, he jumps in for the attack. The ice on the ground gets completely obliterated by his feet, and he shouts, "Dark Triple Axel!" A first kick gets slammed into the face of the giant, the second hits his shoulder, and the third engraves deep wounds into his chest. Absalom's lion feet are finally coming in handy, even though he had to get his shoes off first. Predicting the attack is already an advanced feat, but the giant guardian planned a counterattack. He endured the first 2 parts, and instantly when the third one sliced through his chest, he fired off his own special move. Forgive! Bigger is better. An enormous ice arrow gets blasted out of his bow and hits Absalom straight on with full force. While Ulre gets sent flying over the lake, Absalom gets enveloped by the powers of his enemy, turning into an ice statue. A classic exchange in which both parties hit the other one at the exact same time. The Devil Fruit user, Ulrich can't fall into the lake, so with another quickfire arrow called Spurtec Brain, the water under him freezes and icebergs get built. He feels a bit lightheaded. Absalom's attack did hit him quite hard. He could recover from the first one as the Dark Messiah consciously attacked him without armor and haki to reduce the damage. But now the triple axle was filled with the best armor and haki Absalom could offer. Blood continues to run down his chest. His vision is slightly blurry, but this should be over. Absalom was only able to melt the ice off his bazooka arm because he kept on moving around at a very fast speed. Now his entire body is frozen. Estimating the time until his death is not really possible. He is not fully human. Haki could protect him as well, and he is much physically stronger than an ordinary human to begin with. Ulrich rubs his eyes to regain focus on the ice statue in the distance. He got knocked away quite far. I don't need to kill a challenger. I should probably unfreeze him and just throw them out. As the captain, his crew members should probably follow him. What the giant doesn't know is that Absalom actually only is the second in command of this pirate crew that just entered the nation of the giants. With his sight getting better again, he can see the ice once again. Nobody ever escaped out of this technique. It's a surefire way to win. On his way back to land, ice forms wherever he steps, and behind him, the ice grows and grows until more mountains decorate the lake. This continues until suddenly, out of nowhere, Ulrich gets hit and thrown backwards, crashing straight through the icebergs he just created himself. He looks around, astonished. Nothing is here. The other pirates are still standing far away, so it couldn't have been them. It is like he got punched by thin air. Looking back at the statue, he finally notices it. The Dark Messiah isn't in the ice anymore, but the structure wasn't broken. He just disappeared out of it. Closing his eyes and taking a look in the future should answer his questions. What? Ulrich is shocked beyond belief. In the future he just saw, he's getting pummeled, but there's no sign of anyone being around him. The giant is able to see the slightest changes in the air, be it from movement or the breath of creatures. That would mean even if Absalom would be invisible, which Ulrich already learned that he can be just that, he would notice that. And yet there are no signs of any life forms being around him on the lake. All he can sense are the fish swimming around in the bottom of the lake and the visitors and spectators a bit farther away. At least he knows when the first attack will come. So not even a second before he's going to get hit, he uses another technique. I don't know where you are, but you have to be somewhere around here. There is no escape from this attack. Jormungandr! A gigantic snake made out of ice gets created and hurled just like an arrow. It flies around in circles and continues to circle around Ulrich, freezing even the very air itself. It ascends higher and higher into the sky, until a ginormous pillar fills the area. But this pillar is just one very long snake. This should have hit the blonde human, is what Ulrich says to himself. Yet just a millisecond later, just like he saw in the future, punches start raining down on him. The only difference to the future he saw is that Jormungandr is flying around him. It is an onslaught of attacks, until he finally loses consciousness. The ice snake slowly starts to disappear, and next to the giant, Absalom reappears. Before the ice created by the hunter's devil fruit vanishes as well, the lion picks up the Elbaf native and carries him to safe land. The battle is over, and the winner is the Dark Messiah, Absalom. To explain what just happened, we have to turn back the clock just 1 minute, as this entire thing took place in this small time frame. When Absalom got hit by the Folgefauna attack, he really was entirely frozen, but he remained conscious. This allowed him to activate his awakened devil fruit powers. He kept as the pace up in his sleeve. Turning into literal nothingness, Absalom exists on an entirely different plane to normal mortals. Nothing can't be stopped, so he just casually walked out of the ice prison and approached the enemy he just sent flying with his kick. He could see the damage in the eyes of the giant, and not being noticed made it easy to strike him. Absalom recognized the look on Ulrich's face. It is pure shock. Not necessarily fear, just shock. The giant still looked very determined to win. He didn't expect giant ice snake to appear out of nowhere, but nothing in the existing realm could touch him, so that didn't change anything either. All the beast had to do was finish it all, and he just did that. With one last series of punches, the battle ended. The Strawhat Pirates, the new giant warrior pirates, and Sanji have come to where Absalom is standing. Looking at the unconscious giant, Hyrian just says, "You can leave him there. Nothing will happen to him. We should go to the closest village and find a place to sleep before it gets too late." As the tourist guide Hyrian shows everyone the way, and when they reach the edge of the mountain on which the lake is located, they see the site of the nation of Elbaf for the very first time. Giant and lush forests, mountains higher than the clouds, and a tree in the center of the island where the tree crown is nowhere to be seen. Everything is multiple times larger than the people know from the outside world, and their amazement grows even bigger when a bunny approaches them. The normally small creature is over 5 meters tall on this island, and seeing their gigantic teeth is actually quite intimidating. Luckily enough, they are still herbivores, even with their increased size. However, if bunnies are already this big, it only leaves so much to the imagination for other animals. The giants smile at the impressions of the visitors, and Hyrian opens his arm before saying, "You better be prepared, because it will only get more impressive. With this, we can finally say it. Welcome to Elbaf, the home of the giant warriors." Finally, we have entered an uncharted island. How will the story progress from here? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, I hope you enjoyed this episode in its entirety, because Absalom, he did something incredible right now. He is very much at the top of this universe at the moment. Well, not at the very top, but he can compete with the very best. And having defeated one of the best warriors of Elbaf is going to give him some sort of reputation as well. But I guess that's all from me for today. All that's left to be said is stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. This has been Pirate Prima, and we will see each other again in the next video. Take care, bye!